Welcome, everyone. This is Recovery Dharma. My name is Julia. I'm one of the facilitators in the Spokane Sangha, and I am so happy to be here today. I want to share with you, before we jump into our practice, I want to share with you a picture of the first person I encountered in my Buddhist practice and Buddhist journey. It was 1992, and this was the face that I encountered. This is Thich Nhat Hanh, and this is a book called Eyes of Compassion. And this is an image of him from 1966 when he first came to the United States, and he was talking about the Vietnam War. And rather than take on sort of the political fury, he really wanted to talk about the way the war was ravaging the Vietnamese people. And so he took on this truly humanitarian tone that reached so many people. And he embodied this mindfulness practice. In 1992, when I first encountered the teachings of Thich Nhat Hanh, it completely changed my life. It changed the course of my life. I was going in this direction. And then I was like, whoops, we're going in this direction now. And I have been on that way ever since. For the month of October, truly inspired by my study of Thich Nhat Hanh and the way mindfulness has landed in me, we are exploring grounding practices. There are 4 that we're going to bring forward. Yesterday, I kind of shared with you sort of the broader framework, how I'd like to present grounding. And I brought forward an invitation for you to simply look at the definition of grounding and what it means for you. And maybe invite you to take out a thesaurus and look up synonyms for the word grounding, and maybe find synonyms of synonyms just to broaden your experience of what it means to be grounded, to be centered. And all the while you do that, I would encourage you to keep your gaze at the level of the heart. This is the place where we ground. In the Hindu tradition, of which the Buddha was well versed in his time, there is something called the chakra system. And there are 7, 3 lower chakras, the root chakra, the sacral chakra, and the solar plexus. They represent the physical experience of being here, embodied as a human being. The other 3 are the throat chakra, the third eye, which reflects our insight and imagination, and then the crown chakra, which is one's capacity, if you can think about it, it's one's capacity to receive the mystery of being sheltered within this cosmos. So you have these lower physical 3 chakras and these ascending upper 3 chakras that represent the spiritual experience of life. And they coalesce and meet and radiate at the level of the heart. So that's where we ground. That's where we center. That's where we come home and find ourselves. Next week, we're going to explore the body. We're going to use the body as a place to keep returning to as we ground, as we center, as we anchor. So, for the first week, we're going to focus our attention on the shoulders, the neck, the head. And I just want you to keep your gaze right in this level. The second week, we're going to focus on the core of the body. That includes the heart and the arms. The third week, we're going to focus just on the hips, the pelvic girdle, genitalia, the places in the body for sexual expression that can also be a place of incredible misconduct and confusion, place of great passion and opening. And then we're going to end our month-long exploration in our legs and feet. And this is representative of the root chakra. And this is the place of great belonging, great connection. Throughout all of these practices, all of these embodied grounding explorations, we are going to practice. And I'd like to invite a spirit of play. So we're going to play with the breath. The breath is going to be a reliable companion. It is not going to be a source of kind of punitive reminders when the mind wanders away, and then we recognize that we're wandering away, and we come back to the breath, and we come back to the area of the body that we're working with in a negative way. I don't want to do that. I don't want the breath to be treated as anything like, ugh, there I go again, wandering. I better come back to the breath. Instead, I'd like the breath to be a more playful, a more faithful companion. Oh, there I am again, breathing. That's all. My breathing is happening whether I'm conscious of it or not. Isn't that amazing? That's how faithful this body is to us. It breathes and keeps us alive, whether we're aware or not. I love that. So the mind can go and wander. We can explore our heads, our faces, our smiles and eyebrows, our neck and shoulders. Next week, we can just be so concentrated there and completely trust that the body will breathe. So every now and then, I want to invite us to turn our gaze toward that faithful companion, the breath. And the reason is not only is it faithful, it's healing. When we breathe with intentionality, we heal. And what we're healing is on a cellular level. We increase oxygen in our blood. The blood flows throughout all of our bodies, touching ever so gently, if you can even imagine, our blood cells kissing all of our wonderful organs, the brain, the heart, lungs, liver, spleen, pancreas, kidney, stomach, intestines, muscles, on and on. Little kisses, all because you're breathing with intentionality. What an act of care. Thich Nhat Hanh, when he started teaching mindfulness to the Western minds, he began by using mantra, simple phrases that represented present time awareness. Breathing in. I am breathing in. And just notice it. Notice where, see if you can feel the air entering your nostrils. See if you can feel your belly extending. Breathing in. I am breathing in. Breathing out. I am breathing out. That's it. And the trick is to see if you can sit with that, just breathing in, breathing out, observing. See how far you can get. You could count. And, or you can just be free about it. But the point is, excuse me, is to notice when the mind wanders away, and the mind will be friendly about it. It doesn't have to be something that you have to entertain with annoyance or irritation. The mind is just going to do what the mind is doing. And what we're doing is helping the mind and encouraging the mind to stay focused and concentrated rather than habitually distracted. But it's going to take some time and some patience, some centering, heart centering. So we activate the spirit of the heart, the soul of the heart. And the soul's language is gentle and loving and unwavering in its encouragement. Breathing in. I'm breathing in. Breathing out. I'm breathing out. Breathing in. I just noticed my mind wandering to what's going to happen this afternoon. Would you look at that? Breathing out. I'm breathing out again. And that's how we do it over and over and over again. It's such a joyful practice. It's so simple. It's almost too simple, right? The cynical mind's like, what? It can't be this easy. And it is. It's this easy, except that when you get into it, it's really challenging because the mind, my mind, golly, I can't breathe 5 cycles without my mind thinking about a recipe or a new Swiffer I need to buy or whatever my mind does. My mind is highly creative, which means it's highly distracted. Oh, well. And I keep bringing it back. That's my mind. What I have to do. That's how I work with it. And I quit yanking on my own chains. In fact, I took the chains off. And instead, I just coax my mind back. Julia, come on back. Come home. Home to the heart. And breathe. Breathing in. I'm breathing in. Breathing out. I'm breathing out. Breathing in. I'm breathing in. Breathing out. I'm breathing out. I'd like to create a couple of moments of silence for you to play with this, and I just want to emphasize the spirit of play. So, for example, in that last round, as I was breathing in, I could hear this beautiful wind chime hanging out on one of my favorite maple trees on the farm, and my mind immediately went to that um, chime. And so I was breathing in and I simply told myself, wind chime, breathing in. So that's how I work with some distractions sometimes. And I just really try to apply a friendly tone, some openness, and some spaciousness. Because again, friends, this is how the soul speaks. This is what comes from the level of the heart. And this is how we ground the whole of our being. Enjoy your practice. Friends, when Thich Nhat Hanh in the 60s came to the United States, he had just begun his work creating something new, which he called socially engaged Buddhism. He was 39 years old and he became a monk when he was 16. And for all of that time between 16 and about 38, 39 years old, he was a singularly devoted monk living in a monastery in Vietnam. And he was not particularly engaged with the public, with communities. That wasn't really the monk's way of life. There was a kind of a separation. They were dependent upon one another, but separate. When the war came to Vietnam, he felt a deep, deep calling to serve the people. And this was in contrast to what the vast majority of the monastery governance was suggesting. So he broke with tradition and he took these Buddhist practices and principles and brought them to life uniquely in him, and he shared them with the world. And here we are practicing it still, bringing forward an engaged kind of Buddhism. It is my belief that when we ground and we center at the level of the heart by simply breathing and engaging the body in this way, we create an overall sense of peace within. And that peace, by extension, radiates into the world. And when we can be radiance, peace is radiance, we actually become instruments of peace. And I think we're in a dark time that could benefit from this light, from this peace, and from your efforts to make it so. It is a practice, and your practice, your effort is profound. Thank you, friends. Right. Let's end our practice today with a dedication of merit. Oh, we've come to the end of this beautiful time together, early October, and we're exploring grounding, centering, allowing the heart to light the way of this human spiritual experience called life. The heart, in its incorruptible presence, its capacity to illuminate, its spaciousness to hold the storms and the ease, the ups and the downs, the light and the dark, all of that happens in the spaciousness of love. But it's so easy to forget. It's so easy to go unconscious. And so we practice. We keep returning to it over and over and over again. Thich Nhat Hanh was very famous for his calligraphy. And one of the things that he created, one of the famous calligraphy pieces, was "Peace is every step," and also "Peace is every breath." I'd like to dedicate this practice to everything that breathes, which is everything. And even if it's not breathing because it has lung power, if you can spend some time with things that don't, its breathing isn't necessarily visible, but if you can spend some time looking at its interdependence, you begin to see that everything is connected to the same life force. Gandhi called it Satyagraha, life force, soul force, love force. And it is already here in each of us. We simply have to have the courage to breathe it, to live it, in order to become it. And in our practice and in this process, may our efforts spread far and wide to be of benefit to those who don't have access yet. May you go into your day sheltered by the life force of peace. May you go into the day stepping upon the earth, receiving its life force of peace. And may all of this be embodied in you at the level of your heart. You, me, instruments of peace. Thank you for being here today, friends. Namaste.